tell me mom?
What?
I said, why did you only tell me mom?
Because I remember. Uh,
I'd rather have the 28 times the 3 and a third.
well, I can tell you one thing, that was not the highest grade. It was not the lowest grade. So I just picked one in the middle. Yours. Okay, I guess we're recording. I need to ask y'all some questions. Now, this week we'll have to turn in midterm grades. We have to turn in a letter for everybody. Uh, are y'all satisfied with the first test and that be your grade? Well, I got 3 nods. Alexander, how about you? You satisfied with your first grade? I don't remember what your grades were. Or we can rush in a test Thursday and I can average that in. So what do y'all want to do? Jessica, test Thursday or take the grade you got?
I'd rather take the grade I got.
Same with you, William? Say? Okay, Alexander, you're outnumbered anyway. All right, we'll take the grade you got and I turn in final grades. Now, I don't know why they're doing this. Used to, you had to turn in F or D. And they warned these people. I don't even know if that does any good or not. Uh, let's take you, for example, Jessica. If you made an F and I turned in an F for you and sent to your home address, who's going to get that mail? You, your mom, or your dad?
Depends on who checks that mail today.
Let's say your mom checks it or your dad.
Oh, I'm getting in trouble.
Would you get in trouble?
Oh, heck yeah.
Good. How about you, Seth? Who would check the mail?
It just depends on.
Would you get in trouble if you had an F in a class?
I'd say so. Yeah.
All right. That's good that your parents are concerned. Now, some parents don't care. Some parents don't understand. Some parents, you know, if my mom and dad got that letter F, they were uneducated. I told them I could have told them that was the best grade in class. They may have believed me. I don't know. Or I would have just told them, don't worry about it. I've already pulled that up or something like that. They'd have been happy with it. Uh, so some parents never see those grades. And some that do see them don't care. The way it is. Today is a big political day in the nation with 14 states having primaries. My state, Virginia, is one of them. Uh, but the Democrats is down to the 3 Bs, Bernie, Biden, Bloomberg. Of course, they still got Elizabeth Warren and some lady from Hawaii. So down to 5 from 29. All right, the day will maybe cause 1 or 2 more to drop out. I don't know. But out of Biden, Bloomberg, and Bernie, can you all believe that Trump is the youngest? He's about 75. The rest of them are 76 to 78. But anyway, it is a bunch of old white men running for president. Unless Elizabeth Warren gets in there, I think she's an old white woman. Uh, what have you. But anyway, I didn't used to get involved with politics. I didn't care. For the last few years, I keep up with it, but a lot of people get upset with politics. I was kidding Dr. Albert. Now, Dr. Albert is a Democrat to the core, and so is Malamazur. And I asked Dr. Albert which one of the B's he was for. He wouldn't tell me. I told him he was Mr. Imel's office. He was in Trump territory. uh, I don't know how college professors, they should not preach politics to their students. You make up your own mind. Uh, and some college professors that teach economics or business, I would think they would be more conservative because of the nature of the business world. But some of them are not. Uh, but my advice to you all, don't listen to your professors. Vote the way you feel like voting. And, you know, my daddy was a hard-headed Democrat from his birth to his death. Did that influence me? It might have in the early years. And then I turned independent. I tried to start voting for the best person to do the job. I do think economics makes you a better voter. All these things they're running on, free education, free health care, student loans knocked out to zero, those sound great. I'd like to see all that if we could pay for it. We're a rich country, and I think everybody should have some kind of health coverage. I think most everybody do. If they don't have Medicare and they don't have work insurance, they don't have mom and daddy insurance, then by God, they got Medicaid. I think most people have some kind of health insurance, and they should. But anyway, do you all understand what socialism is? Real quick, does anybody understand what socialism is? Do you, William? Do you, Jessica?
For the most part.
What do you think it is, Seth?
For the most part, yes.
Huh?
It's basically like the socialization of all goods and businesses, or all goods and services.
All right, what does our government right now own, business-wise?
Infrastructure and police force, military right now, military.
All right, federal government, the big item is military and the postal system. All right. Now, socialism, I'm just guessing. I'm not an expert on it. I think I understand capitalism, but I don't understand. And I think total communism, the government owns everything, don't it? Controls everything and dictates everything. Socialism is somewhere in between. Whereas the government owns more stuff. They may own the health care system, control it, like the postal system. There would be more government interference, in other words. Some people think that's good. Venezuela wouldn't say it's good. So, but again, no. If you like socialism, vote for socialism. That's your choice. All right, so we're not going to have a test Thursday. That will relieve me from making one up. They're not that hard to make up. But we've been dealing with chapter 6, and chapter 6 we looked at some journal entries. Now, did I give you any assignments today from chapter 6? All right. What are those, Jessica?
It was 55 and 62.
Just 2? 65 and 62. All right, let me grab my solutions real quick.
It was
And what you've got,
44,
which chapter?
6.
6.
Yeah. I know there's a whole long list of them.
Yeah, it's 50, 54, 55, and 60 for bonus.
60.
but what you had was it, Jessica? And when did I want that bonus? What day?
I don't know. They didn't tell me that.
I think you said Thursday.
All right. Okay, let's take these first. I wanted to finish this chapter up today. We could have had a test on 5 and 6. We'll put it off to after the break. and I don't want you to have it on the day back after your break. Do you all think spring break for college students will be slowed down this year? No? My granddaughter is wanting to go with 6 of her senior friends. Some are 18, some 17. She's still 17. They've got one mother that would chaperone them. She's wanting to go on a trip to the Bahamas, a cruise.
Because it's like $40 a person right now.
What?
I said, because a 7-day cruise is like $40 a person right now.
You're kidding.
Because the coronavirus.
You can't get it that cheap though, can you?
Some of them you can.
A cruise spends more than that per day on one person for food. But I think hers was pretty cheap. I don't know how many days, but it's 600 and some. Myself, I would not take a cruise right now. Some of those cruise ships have been held up for 14 days. And then when you get off of them, you are still in quarantine for 14 more days. That's 28 days. That'd be bad. But I think travel will be down a little bit, Jessica, because of the virus. The best advice anybody gives you, keep your hands washed. The closest case to us is where? There's one down in Florida. All right, there's 6 people dead in Washington State. I think there's some cases up in Maine or New York. New York's not that far from us. You know that, don't you? You can drive to New York easy, probably in 8 or 10 hours. Okay, what's the first problem say?
50.
Problem 50.
The closest one is Georgia.
Where?
Georgia.
I mean, Georgia's got one. Whereabouts? Atlanta?
Near the top. Near the top. What is that? Left corner.
If it's top left corner, is that bordering Tennessee?
Almost.
Was that the map? Let's see. My son is about 10 miles from the Georgia border. It's almost on the border of Tennessee. So Tennessee is that long state. Wow, he gets patience from right in there. That one person can spread. Anyhow, anyway, let's look at number 50. I think I gave you some weighted average cost of production report and the journal entries. Now, hopefully all of you got to work on number 50. We practiced a lot of this stuff last week. And did anybody get the equivalent units on number 50? What you got, Seth?
12,200.
How much?
12,200.
And see, I didn't ask Seth what, but the units to be accounted for is 12,200. That's beginning inventory plus starting. All right. Now, if we're weighted average transferred out. So we transferred out 11.8 plus 400, which makes 12.2. Now here we had to do transferred out 11.8 and what percent of materials, labor, and overhead. So say, did you get 12,160 for labor? Did you get 12,080 for materials? Did anybody get labor and material? You got these three, William?
That
Good.
sounds about right.
You don't have yours with you?
My fiance has my backpack, and I messaged him if I could get it this morning, and he didn't answer me. So I'm waiting to see if he's gonna bring it to me.
What's he do with your backpack? There's something good in there?
No, I was over at his house.
And you forgot?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You got to get this part first. We know that. That's part number one. And I think I found out that I can actually write now. I can get a highlighter, or I can get a pen now. And I couldn't before, so I learned something new today. All right, if you don't have those three, please recalculate and find them. You got to have those three, and you'll be the only one, unless Alexander. I don't know why that flips back like that. William, did you have 32, 550, and 16?
I did not know.
Huh? You have to have this first. Now you have to have the total cost to be accounted for second. And you divide, and you get these answers. All right? You can't do part two without part one. And you can't do part three without part one or two. Here's your total cost for units transferred out. Here's your ending materials and labor and overhead. And this cost is the same as this cost. All right. Now I asked you to do journal entries. Just to run over those, we debit raw materials and credit accounts payable, if we knew how many bought, but here we got a bunch of X's because we don't. Now, how much did we requisition? We did know how much was requisition. Debit, work in process, credit. We knew how much wages, and we knew how much the applied overhead. We didn't know what the debits to factor overhead were. And we sent so much to finished goods, and we don't know what the cost of goods sold were, or sales. All right? That was a good problem. I wish more of you had worked on it. Okay, what was the next problem?
54.
If you didn't have 50, I wonder if you've got 54. Weighted average and FIFO. Now, say, do you have both of those? Alexandra?
No, not with me.
Yes.
I did.
Would.
I have the beginning part of 54.
All right.
for both.
Now, number 54, what was the bonus problem?
16.
Does anybody have it finished? All right, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Since nobody has 54, you need to learn both methods. And I'll take up 54 and 60. I'll take both of them up on Thursday. And we'll finalize this chapter on Thursday. But we're going to start a new chapter. Now, you'll decide later whether you want this chapter included on the test or not. All right? We're going to flip over to chapter 7. I'm going to give you just a little bit of PowerPoint on it first. Now, for you all, I hope there's 6 or 7 of you in your senior classes. Jessica, you're a sophomore, right? But you're taking senior level accounting next year. I hope in your advanced accounting and your auditing and governmental, you have same group. Now, William's already taken governmental, I think. But he'll have to take taxes, and you all don't. Okay? But now, intermediate, you know how many is going to be in the intermediate next year?
Probably just 1 or 2.
Have you seen my principal's class?
They're all failing.
Huh?
Aren't they all failing?
They're not doing great.
No,
But-
that's IMO's principal class.
Huh?
Almost all of the IMO's principal class is failing,
Well, his online class,
I guess.
I was hoping he'd have some. I've got one accounting major in my principal. He's okay. He's not failing. One thing's going to help too. Mr. Imo is going to be put on a 12-month contract. He'll start out in July this year first instead of August. And then later, I guess he'll be here in June. That didn't help our enrollment in it when the School of Business building was shut down for 3 months. Nobody even had a class in this building. But the year I taught here, I taught accounting principles in the summer in class, had about 25 or 30. Things change. All right, standard costing. Here is some of your management terms: motivating, planning, controlling, decision making. I want to ask y'all one question when I see motivation. If you had a job, what motivates you to do a good job on the job?
My pay,
What?
my pay,
Money?
yeah.
Does anything else motivate you?
If you care about the work,
What?
if you're invested in the work,
All right. Love of your job? Anything else motivate you?
Pride,
Pride?
yeah.
If you go back and see some psychology books, they say money is not the number one motivator. It's recognition or a pat on the back, not money. But it's good to love your job, sure. If you love your job, you are successful. It doesn't have to pay $1 million a year or even $100,000 a year. If you love your job, you're successful. All right. Now, what motivates you as a student, Faith?
To get a degree and which will allow me to have better paying jobs in the future.
What about you, William? What motivates you?
getting the degree, which will help me in the future, and then learning things.
Jessica?
Keeping my scholarships.
Something's got to go along with that, liking school or wanting a degree or something to keep your scholarship. Alexander? So looking back, I don't know what motivated me. There was 13 of us. Of course, they were not all at home at one time. We wouldn't have had room for them. Some got married, some got jobs, some left, Army, what have you. I was number 7, in the middle. The 6 before me did not finish high school. Now later on, a couple of those finished high school on their own. The 6 after me did finish high school after I did. All right. Of course, I was definitely a first generation college student. Whatever they call that generation. The six after me, uh, sister after me, she went on and got her college degree in Michigan with her son. She graduated with her son, and she taught school in Michigan. And most of the rest of them, I had one younger than my brother. He left one class graduating from Clinch Valley, and most of these six got at least 2 years. Two of them got 4 years. Uh, I don't know what motivated me, probably to do better, and I guess being so poor motivated me, because we grew up poor. But it was good times. I don't regret growing up poor. Don't regret it at all. I didn't know we were poor. All right, but these aren't management terms. All right, standards. Some books call it another system of cost accounting. I don't. I still think process, cost accounting, and job order are the two main ones. This is just a supplementary thing. The standard cost are budgeted cost. Now, standards, sometimes we can find them in books for other businesses throughout the country. But materials, price, what would make materials cost a company more in Bluefield than it would in Richmond, Virginia, or Charleston, West Virginia? Why would materials cost more in Bluefield, West Virginia?
We're not relatively close to any manufacturing plants.
Don't have the factories here. Transportation might be one of the big ones. Charleston has a major airport, don't it? They have railroad, and they have waterways. That big river near Charleston gets a lot of business. Barges. So transportation. Bluefield does have the railroad, and it does have tractor trailers. But transportation is a big thing. But why were automobiles made in Detroit? Because they were close to the factories that made the steel, and they still had major transportation. Back in the day when I was in college, I took a class called transportation. I don't know how good it was or whatever, but at the time we had to learn how many miles of railroad track there was in the United States, how many miles of interstate. We had to learn all the other transportation terms. I guess it would be good if you were in logistics. I always remember the professor. He was about 450 pounds, and he had a little Volkswagen. And when he went by you on the street, that little Volkswagen was sitting sideways. All right, now let's talk about standards. Standard material cost is equal unit purchase price times the quantity. Standard costing. This is just items or component. Now labor, we set standards too. Now what do you think about the minimum wage in West Virginia? Is it $8.50?
$8.75.
Hey, what?
$8.75.
That's not bad. And it's $7.35. So you are $1.40 above the national. But that's a good thing for West Virginians. Because there's a lot of poverty in my part of Virginia and your part of West Virginia. some places would drop unemployment. Now, some of these places are promoting $15 minimum wage. Now, that would be rough on the employer. They'd have to lay some people off. Now, what would make, all right, you're paying $15 an hour for labor, but in other parts of the country, the standard is 13. Why would you be paying 15 when the standard is 13 somewhere else? Why would we be paying 15? All right. Why is the minimum wage higher in D.C.? Cost of living. Cost of living. How would you like to live in Manhattan, New York? To park your car, it might cost you $2,500 a month just to park your car in a parking garage. So a lot of people in New York don't own cars. They take the subways. All right. Now, if all my workers were experienced or older, they may be up to $15 an hour. And this could be a younger workforce with no experience. So our minimum wage standard might deviate. Now, up north, back when I was in college and I went up north to work, I had brothers and sisters up there, and I laid carpet for a brother-in-law, and I drove vehicles for Chrysler at night, and I worked for Chrysler one whole summer. And they liked people from down south. They thought our work ethics in the south were better than those in the north. They thought we did a better day's work. They thought we would be on time, and we would not miss, be absent. So the North thought a lot of us in the South. I don't know if they still think that or not. All right. Now the North has better trained workers than the South did, but the South is coming along. Now we have Toyota's got manufacturers in the South, Mercedes down in Alabama somewhere. So we're coming up in the South with skilled labor. And then we have overheads that we have variances also we'll be looking at, variable and fixed. We have our estimated cost and our predetermined. You're familiar with that. Standard materials for a bike, standard labor for a bike, and standard overhead for a bike. All right, here's what we're going to be studying. The difference between those two. If you produce 1,000 units, and the standard cost, let's take all standard costs, materials, labor, and overhead, was $15. But we did it for $14. What is your variance? Actual, what means standard, actual. What is your variance? $1, right? What's $1 times 1,000 units? $1,000, right? Now, would that be favorable or unfavorable? If we go below the standard, that's definitely favorable, isn't it? So that's what we're talking about in this chapter. I will give you some kind of chart to work with in a minute on this or later. Actual cost of production, standard cost of production gives you a variance, which we just did $1,000. But we're gonna get up here to different kinds of variances. Now, AP is what? Actual what? Actual price. AQ, actual quantity. SP, standard. SQ, standard quantity. Alright, jot these letters down in a different format. Jot them down: actual price times actual quantity, and then standard price times standard quantity, and then standard price, that's actual quantity, times standard quantity. Jot it down that way on your paper in a row of 3. Just jot it down that way. Alright, now I'm going to go to my notebook. And that was standard. What was first? Standard price?
So actual price times actual quality.
Yeah, I'll get them backwards if I don't watch, so I don't know. It was actual, was it? Actual price
Times actual.
and that third one was standard price times standard quantity, and this one in the middle has both. Is it actual price
It's standard price.
and it's actual quantity? Alright, now we get variances from that. Alright, let's say your actual price. Now this could be materials. We're talking about materials. Your actual price was $1.50 a unit, and your standard price was $1.40 a unit. Your actual quantity was 10,000, and your standard quantity, let me see how that's going to work out. I make these up as I go. Our standard is 10,500. Now I want you to take this format, Jessica. Actual times actual, price and quantity. Standard, price and quantity. Standard, price and quantity. Now I want you to take these numbers here and fill in these letters and then multiply.
I was gonna say, shouldn't the middle number equal,
Do what?
I remember doing this last semester.
You did it in Mandrill, yes you did.
I
So
thought
let's,
the middle number was,
don't worry about the middle numbers, just plug all these in. The Dow's down again today, but went up yesterday 1,200 a record, but down 400 almost today. All right, fill those in. All right. Now you all remember these amount. Well, let me jot them in here. Actual was what, $1.50, and standard was what, $1.40. actual quantity was 10,000. And standard quantity was 10,500. All right, if I erase this to give me some room, let's see what we've got. What is $1.50 times 10,000? What is $1.40 times 10,000? And what is $1.40 times 10,500?
14,007.
How much?
700.
All right. Now, if you look at these variances, how much is this? What are we comparing now? What variance is that? We've got the quantity, now we've got the actual price and the standard price. So that is a price variance, isn't it? Okay. Now, what is the quantity variance?
700.
Now, first off, is this favorable or unfavorable, this 1,000? Are you sure? Now look,
Unfavorable.
actual price is $1.50, standard $1.40. That's unfavorable.
I thought the top one was 14. It's unfavorable.
Yeah. All right. Now I know I'm crowding a lot of stuff in here. Now, here on your quantity, you were supposed to use standard 10.5, but you only used 10. Would that be favorable or unfavorable? All right, and the difference is 300 what?
Unfavorable.
But now try the difference over here. The difference between 15 and 14.7 is how much? Now that's a way to check your calculation, and that's going to be unfavorable. All right, keep this pattern at least for materials and labor, and maybe even for fixed overhead. The pattern may not work for variable. We'll wait and see. All right, that's the biggest thing in this chapter, and I think you can handle that. Well, I don't know where my PowerPoint went. I guess there it went. Material price variance. Excuse me. Materials quantity variance. See, they've got the same thing down. We just wrote it down a different way. Excuse me. Labor rate variance, you write it down the same way. You got labor rate and efficiency. Now we talked about some things that might make materials variant. Now, you might have brought a low quality material, then you're going to have more usage. Materials may be higher because we don't have the transportation, or they're not made near us. Labor, we may have experienced labor, or we may be in a high living area. We need to analyze these variances if we're in a factory. Now, efficiency variance, maybe experienced labor is more efficient. If you've got an older labor force, they may be more efficient. Now, here are the overhead variances. We got variable, we got fixed. We compare actual variable to the total variable in the ledger. Is the total of the ledger. Actual fixed is the total of the ledger. But we come up here with a predetermined overhead rate, even a predetermined fixed. And we know we're going to have over-applied, under-applied probably. But they're going to call it a spending variance and an efficiency variance. Your actual compared to your budgeted is your spending variance. Your budgeted compared to your applied is your efficiency variance. We'll practice those. When we calculate these variance, we're going to have the 1, 2, 3, and 4 variance methods. We had those, Jessica, in Mantrol also. Do you remember?
Yeah.
All right, we'll save these for later. I don't want to give you a lot today. All right, I don't want to get into a whole lot today on this chapter. Now, Thursday, we're going to take up 2 problems. We're going to finish chapter 6. We're going to have a test, not the first day we're back, but maybe the second on those 2 chapters. Now, if you think we want to add this one, we could add this and make the test on 3. It's up to you. So, no other assignments except read chapter 7 and do your 2 problems. And get caught up, and I'll see you Thursday. Oh, you're getting out real early today.